two true stories. One turned out good. One turned out not so good. The first story, it was more than 20 years ago, so I don't have any photos to show you on that one. But I had a contractor in Louisa, and he actually had renovated this older Victorian house, really cute thing, and I sold it for him. And then he called me a few months later and he said, "Hey Maury, I got this property that a guy is telling me about down near Lake Anna. And it's a great bargain. He bought it under the market and I have a chance at it." So he was up in Fredericksburg. So he said, "Could you run out and take a look at it for me?" And I said, "Sure, I'll take a look at it and let's see what we got." The other part is, he said the guy who bought it sight unseen, and he lives in Utah. So the property was over near Lake Anna, and he also had an appraisal on it for $300,000. It was a recent appraisal. So I had red flags flying everywhere. I said, "Sure, I'll run out and take a look at it for you and we'll see what we got." So I knew the basic location, so I drove out there. I knew it was near Lake Anna, but I didn't think it was a Lake Anna property. So when I got there, found the right address and drove in the roadway, which was actually just a little small driveway, very tight, going back into scrub. And at the beginning was a great big "keep out" sign right at the entrance. I'm like, oh, that's fun. And a couple of junk cars, and it was just a lovely location, not a quality dwelling in sight. So I got back to the house, and it was just a one-story, kind of an older 1950s or 60s house that somebody had put a new heat pump in it, and they did some basic repair work and fixed some things up in the house. But unfortunately, it had been trashed. The doors were open. It was a mess. And I basically got in my car and got back and got ready to call my contractor friend. So I'd taken photos and I had documented what I had found. Called my contractor friend. He was all excited, hoping to get a good report. And I had to break in the news, and I said, "No, it's trashed, and it's not worth anywhere even close to the $300,000 appraisal." My answer was, "Run, Forrest, run." So he was very appreciative and thanked me. Well, it was about a couple of days after that, the next week, I get a call from a guy in Utah. And it was the guy who had bought the house sight unseen. He had told me on the phone that somebody had this great deal, and they approved the value of it with the appraisal they sent to him. So I emailed him the photos, and he emailed me back the appraisal. Basically, when I looked at the appraisal, I study appraisals all the time, and when I looked at this one, his house was just a simple one-story, somewhat remodeled, country home in not the best country location. And the appraiser, the three comps that he used to support the value were all Lake Anna area properties in Lake Anna subdivisions. Higher quality locations and everything. So I told the guy, "I'm really sorry for you. In this case, I think buying this house sight unseen, you got duped. And somebody pulled the wool over your eyes for this one. And it has nowhere close to that value." And he said, "Well, what do you think it's worth, Maury?" I'm like, in its current state right now, if you went in and cleaned it up and just fixed it up a little bit, you might get $70,000 to $75,000 out of it. That's where we were in the market back then. So that's the sad story of buying a house sight unseen and putting your trust in somebody who's proving things with values from somewhere. So it's pretty clear what the moral of that story is. Don't do that. But next is a happier story. So in 2021, I had clients who were living close to Cambridge, England, and they were both UVA grads, and they were coming back home to Charlottesville, so yay. Well, they already knew that our local market was really hot, so we got a game plan. They got pre-approved for a mortgage loan, and then we got set up with one of their parents to come meet me, and we would go look at houses together, and we started up the process, and we would FaceTime the folks in from England while we were looking at houses. So with each new showing, we would FaceTime across the pond, and we just had a wonderful time with family and looking at each house with more eyes on everything that way. I think FaceTime is a great tool. One thing I offer also is to take just a full boots on the ground video tour of the house And if you have something specific, like, hey, we want to focus on the HVAC or the outside in a certain area or certain rooms inside, I can spend a lot of time inside and outside of the house videoing the whole thing. And then I place it on my YouTube channel so you can go back in, review it, slow it down, freeze images, look at it as many times as you need to. So there's a few different ways to get this done for folks. Well, we found the house that they both fell in love with. And in that market, in that day, we had to go above list price and really negotiate. It was fierce, but in this case, we won it. And in crunching out the market data for the final sales price, I was pretty confident that an appraiser would be able to support that final price and move forward with no bumps at all. And it did. It was really a win-win. So we closed on their new home while they were still over near Cambridge, England. So in the next few weeks, they jumped across the pond, they came out to their new house, and they finally went inside it, and they liked it. Thank you, Lord. So if you are buying a home and you're out of the area, please don't buy a home sight unseen. Anywhere around Charlottesville, I am happy to be your eyes, your ears, and your boots on the ground.